Hey guys, it's Sam. Welcome back to my channel. So, as you guys may have seen, I know only last time I checked, maybe 15 people had actually seen and voted on this. YouTube finally gave me access to community posting, which means I can finally post polls on my channel, which is awesome because then I can ask you guys what you want to see, what you want to be filmed, and I can get a response. So I decided last night that I was going to post to ask you guys. So I'm just looking for a lip chap right now. My lips are burning from being dry. That I was going to ask you guys what kind of a tutorial you wanted me to film today. So I had given you guys three options. I could either film a video for my Gods and Goddesses series, which I will probably still do later this week. I could do a New Year's Eve look, which again, I will probably do closer to New Year's Eve, but the majority of people, an overwhelming majority, I think 75% at this point had said that they wanted to see me do a full face using last ditch effort makeup. So that's what we're going to do today. So the makeup that I'm going to be using on my face now, 2 seconds. So much better. So not everything that I'm going to be using today is going to be last ditch effort because, to be completely honest, not every category of my makeup has something that I'm feeling that way about. Also, if you see this little red dot here, I literally just picked at a zit on my face right before coming on here. So if it's bleeding, I apologize. That's why. Anyway, like I was saying, so for things like mascara, for example, I'm pretty culled down with my mascara collection. Not really, I have a ton of it, but it's all little sample sizes that I get from cosmetics boxes and stuff like that, subscription boxes. And if I had a problem with it, you guys would already know about it. But what I am going to do is for things like that, I'm going to try and use new products that I'm still trying out, that I'm still getting used to, that maybe I like, but I don't have a ton of experience with. So all of the other products in this video are things that maybe I've tried and I've only tried them once and I can remember not liking them, but I want to give another shot to, because every December I kind of do a big clear out of my collection. I try and do a declutter, and that is going to be coming up obviously within the next month and a half or so. And also, as I've been going through and filming my collection videos, oftentimes I will be pulling out a product to show you guys that's part of my collection, and I'm like, you know what, either I'm not a big fan of it or I haven't used it enough to really give you guys an honest opinion of it. So those are the kind of products that we're going to be playing with today. It's kind of going to be a last step between when I use the product and see if it's worth keeping and actually get rid of it in December. Now, I have a ton of products that I was trying to look at them all last night and pull out things that I knew fit these kind of categories. And as I was doing it, I did found a lot of other products that I just know I don't like, and I know I've given them a fair shot. So those are just going to get straight gone. But I do have a pretty good array of products in front of me that we're going to be playing with today. This is not one of them. I'm not doing my hair today. That was just out. But I've got a ton of products that we're going to be playing with that I'm going to see if I really like them or not. And hopefully by the end of this video, I will know better whether I'm going to be removing some of these things from my collection or maybe making an effort to use them more often. So I will stop rambling and we will get straight into this tutorial right now. Okay, so all I've got on my face right now is just a moisturizer. So we're going to start off with a primer. I've got a couple primers today that we're going to be playing with. One is my Marc Jacobs Invisible Undercover, what's this called? Perfecting Coconut Face Primer. The reason I'm using this today is I remember when I got it, I really liked it. And then I kind of stopped using it. I didn't know if I loved the consistency. The smell kind of got to me. It is just super fluid. So this is just a moisturizing primer. Yeah, I don't know. You know what I was going to say? I don't know if this has gone off and that's why it smells funny. But having said that, it's always had the same kind of vanilla-y coconut smell. It's not a bad smell. It's just not straight coconut, if you know what I mean. So I'm just using this right now because my face is dry as AF, because we finally got winter here. It snowed crazy on Thursday night. Hasn't snowed all weekend, mind you. It's just been kind of cool. But yeah, so winter's here, and during the winter my face gets really dry. So a product like this, if I can try and remember why I liked it so much, if I can figure out that it is super moisturizing and that it hasn't gone off, I really hope, because that's not good, then maybe I can keep using it at least till it's done. The one problem I do have with this product is it is super expensive, like all Marc Jacobs stuff is. So it's one of those things that, like, as much as I'm using it right now, I probably would never repurchase it because I have other primers that do the same, if not a better job than that are like a fraction of the price. And the other thing we're going to be doing is using this Oritza Beauty Dewy Glow Balm. I used this a couple times. I got it in a subscription box. It's just like a clear balm. It's just kind of meant to make your face look a little like wet, I guess. See how it's kind of like dewy now? Do you guys see like that side compared to that side? I personally like to have dewy looking skin. So if I can get a product like this to work for me, that'd be great, but I'm not a big fan of the consistency. It's kind of like putting Vaseline all over your face, and it kind of freaks me out a little bit. And I just, like, I feel like I can achieve this look with so many other products, and I feel like this particular product is just making me look greasy and oily, and I don't know that I like that. Like, even as I'm looking at it now, yeah, it's glowy, but it just feels greasy, and I'm not a big, like, I'm wiping excess off right now because it's freaking me out. And I don't know, I just kind of want to see how it plays with foundations and stuff like that, because I'm not a big fan of the texture because I don't want to feel greasy under my makeup. Next, we're going to be putting on an eye primer. We're going to be doing eyes first. Now, this eye primer I've been playing with a little bit lately. I want to see how much I actually like it because I have all of my MAC paint pots, which I love. I have my MAC Extend Eye Base, which I also really, really like. And I got this little Lorac behind the scenes eye primer. And I could never remember if I liked it or not. It just comes out of a tube. Now, it's a lot thinner a consistency than the MAC one. But honestly, when I put it on my eyes, like, I don't know how much it's actually priming the lids because it is so thin. I can't really tell. And like, I never really had a ton of a problem with my makeup wearing off, even when I wasn't using an eye primer. Sorry. Like I was saying, I never really had a problem with my eyeshadow staying even before I started using eye primers. Like, because there's some times where you're just so in a rush to do stuff that you forget maybe to put on an eyelid primer, or you forget. Like the other day I walked out of the house and I was hanging out and I was looking at my makeup and I realized I hadn't put mascara on. It just slips your mind sometimes. Anyway, for eyeshadow palette today, we're going to be kind of dabbling with three. So I have this NYX Wind palette, this Element Wind palette. And when I originally bought this, I honestly bought it to do a Disney tutorial because I needed shades of blue. And then I got really annoyed with the palette. Now, I don't know if I want to play with this one today. We're going to see. I've ranted about this before, so I'll just talk about it briefly now. The shades annoy me. I don't understand why are there three very similar dark blues? Why are these two colors virtually the same? These two here. This color barely shows up when you put it on. This color virtually disappears. It just annoys me because NYX is supposed to be like this mid-range, affordable makeup that's like high-end quality for low-end price. And this palette was still $40. And like, you compare something like this $40 palette, excuse me for 2 seconds, I went to the mall yesterday and picked up the Too Faced Gingerbread palette, which was $58. And like, it's just like this one has 3 more shades. They're smaller pan sizes, but the quality's better. Like, I don't know. I would almost rather at that point spend the extra $18 to get a Too Faced palette rather than using a NYX one, if you know what I mean. And like, I'm not, like, I used to be like a MAC snob, and I think I've like gotten out of that. Like, I'm not really a makeup snob anymore, and I try and use all different kinds of palettes. But like, it really just bothered me because NYX used to be, like I said, you could get a palette for like under $20 there. So I don't know why I paid $40 for that. And we're also going to be using the 2 MAC palettes that came out last year's holiday collection. Just since I filmed for this year's holiday collection, I've talked about these quite a bit. Just saying that, like, the colors look all beautiful and whatnot, but honestly, they're nothing that special. And the thing that ticked me off about it is, like, you have virtually the same size palette as this year's. I'll grab one just to show you comparison. Okay. The palettes are the same. They're the same size, they're the same everything. So why is it that last year they only put 6 in, left all of this extra space, and then this year they got their shit together, and excuse my language, and they threw 9 in and they use more space and the pan sizes are bigger and the colors are better and the pigmentation is better. Like, I really liked these two palettes when they came out. I thought like they went really well with the collection. I thought they were really classic colors, beautiful for just a pop of color, like a pop of shine and sparkle on a New Year's look. And now I'm kind of just like meh over them. So honestly, I really do feel like these palettes are not going to make it through my declutter this year. I almost got rid of them last year, I'm pretty sure. I thought about it, and there's been several times throughout the year that like I've yanked them out, because every once in a while my drawers get a little overwhelmed. I start adding new makeup into them and the drawers don't close anymore, and it just seems like too much stuff. And I'm also really sorry I'm ranting, because I can sense that this video is going to be super long. So like I put all this stuff in the drawers and then I can't shut the drawer. So I start pulling stuff out. Like I'm like, well, I don't really wear that. Let me pull it out and put it over here. Well, I'm not really a big fan of that. So let me pull it out and put it over here. And I end up, and I'm looking at it right now, with a pre-declutter pile, if that makes any sense. It's like I went through my palette drawer the other day because I was sitting here and I was bored. And I was waiting for a friend to come get me. And so I started going through my palettes and I was like, I don't use that. I don't use that. I don't want that. I have no use for that. Oh, maybe I need to try this out. And I started pulling palettes and reorganizing my drawer. So it's almost like I pre-decluttered the drawer. And now I'm looking at the pile that I pre-decluttered and kind of being like, okay, what out of here do I really want to let go of? And if, you know, I'm staring it straight in the face and it's out of the drawer, will that make me want to use it anymore? Or do I still find myself digging for specific palettes out of the drawer? And there's even a couple palettes in the drawer right now where I can remember pulling them out and looking at them being like, there's a big part of me that wants to keep them just because I know how much I paid for them. But ultimately that's not a reason. And yeah, I did pay, because I'm, you know, my YouTube channel, like I love my channel. I've had it for, I think 2 years now almost. And I love it, but I'm not a big enough channel. I don't get PR. I don't get free makeup. I don't get sponsorships, and that's cool with me. I don't care. So every piece of makeup that you guys see here, either I purchased for myself or somebody bought for me. I don't get anything for free. So there's a big part of me where I'm like, oh, I spent all this money on this product just to, you know, get rid of it. But ultimately, if I'm not using it, it's just going to sit there and go bad. It's just going to, you know, take up space in my drawer that maybe I could fit something else in, or maybe it would free up space so I could shuffle the palettes around and see things that I'm not using so much. And maybe I could give it to a friend or a family member who would really, really like to have that, and would actually get decent use out of it. So we're going to just start with this color here. This is the rose gold. Yeah, this is the rose gold palette. So I'm just taking this color on the end as like an all over the lid color. I mean, also those two colors are like virtually identical, the two on the end. I don't know if you guys can see. They look a lot more similar in person than when I just put them up on camera. Okay. So there's that done. Now I'm going to take a, just puffed a lot of powder off of that. So this, I always refer to this as like my bigger crease brush, just because like if you see the shape of it, it comes out into a much wider shape than like some of my more detailed crease brushes do. And I like to use this just to start with a lighter color in my crease to build it up, to get it to come like when I open my eyes a little bit up here. And then from there, I work the other colors in. So for that color today, I am going to hop back and forth between the palettes, I believe. We're going to do, from this palette, we're going to do this color here. I believe it's in No Curfew. Kind of reminds me of the color Kid by MAC. Well, I mean, they're all MAC shadows, but like that one is, I believe it's in their permanent line. I used to own a single of it and then I lost it, I think, or I used it up. I can't totally remember. And then it also came out in the one of the palettes that I had for the Nutcracker Suite collection from 2 Christmases ago. But I also decluttered that palette last year. I think Megan's got it now. I can't really remember. She has most of them. But yeah, and I love that color. I should actually buy it in a full size, but I have so many other colors that are quite similar to it that it's hard to justify until I get through some of the makeup I have. So if you see what I mean, like I'm just like, it's not, see, this is what annoys me is like I'm working this shadow and it's barely showing up. Like there's a little difference between here and here, but not a ton. And I'm not tapping the brush off or anything like that. Like, I'm just digging in for product, like straight in and then straight up onto my eye. And it's still not coming all that, like, coming out all of that pigmented. I don't know. It just seems like more work than I'm really feeling like putting in right now. Honestly, if I sound like a little like rough, I literally just woke up and looked at the time because I was out a little late last night. So Tom is in Niagara Falls right now with one of his friends, his really good friends, is moving to Calgary in December. So a bunch of the boys went out to Niagara Falls just for like a last like hurrah, like a big goodbye trip for him. So his wife was left home. So her and I hung out last night and we, went shopping yesterday for a bit and then we went to dinner and then we were at their house watching movies, but her and I ended up sitting in the kitchen till like 11:30 before we actually started the movie. So I didn't get home until like 2:30 in the morning or something like that. So, and then I was like, I'll wake up at like 9 and start filming. And then I woke up and it was 11 and I was like, anyway, so that's kind of worked in now, but it's like, you can barely see it. And this is my issue with this palette is that, and a lot of MAC, special edition palettes is that they put them out and they look beautiful and the pigmentation sucks. It just, it really bothers me. So now I think we're going to go in with some of these more like smoky colors because I don't want to only use from this palette. I want to pull from both. I want to see how all the colors play. So I'm going to take this color. It's almost like a greeny kind of like brown, bronzy sort of a tone. I'm going to pick it up on a smaller crease brush and just work it in. And again, I did not tap any excess off. And that's all I've got. It's not a lot. Do you see the difference? It's not a lot. And I feel like I'm picking up a ton of product. I feel like I'm trying to pick up a ton of product. This also has like, can you see all of the fallout? Like there's a couple of glitter shades that just fall out like crazy, which is not perfect. Yeah. Every time I've used these palettes, I've had this issue where I just find that I'm working too hard. Do you know what I mean? Whereas there's other palettes like the Too Faced palettes, like my Tarte palettes, like Wet n Wild palettes that you dip in once and you're like, oh my gosh, too much pigmentation. ColourPop palettes, it's just like where you don't have to, you're working more to dull the color than to build it up. And, like, I don't know. I just don't have the patience sometimes to play with color like this. Like, I just don't. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Maybe other people feel the same way. But like I don't wear makeup to work, honestly, because I'm A, too lazy in the morning. I would rather sleep for an extra 15 minutes. And B, like I've told you guys a couple times, I do work in an industrial setting. I do wear a hard hat at work. So if I am wearing a hard hat and sweating for half of the day and I take my hard hat off, a lot of times like I'll have like a band of a separate color because my makeup's worn off. So I just don't bother. I'm not trying to impress anybody at work with my makeup abilities. So I just don't bother. But if I did, like, these are not the kind of palettes I'd want to play with where I have to just keep working it and working it and working it. Like, you want something that's easy to go to, that you trust, that you know is going to work perfectly for you the first time. And this is not it. So I'm just going in with this kind of like gray sparkly color here. We're going to see if we can build up a little more. Not really. Yeah, I don't know how much of a difference that even made. It's a little bit darker, I suppose. And like, I want you guys to see, like, I am trying, like, I'm going in and I'm trying to build this color and it's just not really doing a ton. I don't know. We're going to take a little bit of the darkest color on the end, although that one seems darker. I don't really know. And I'm just going to, you know what, let's play, actually, we'll go back into this because I want to see how one of the dark shades works in this. We're going to go in with this dark brown and just kind of tap it on the outside corner just to really, really deepen it up. I feel like that's worked the most of all of them, and I went way outside where I meant to. That's okay. Now I feel like I screwed the whole thing up. Story of my life. Just blend it out. That's the way to save all makeup, right? Is if you put too much on, just blend it into what you've already got going. Okay. So that's pretty much that. You know what I'll do from the NYX palette, just because I have it out, is I'll try and use that sparkly color for like a lid topper for the inner corner and see if it works the way that I remember it working, which is not well at all. I'm going to use this color. It's kind of like a, oh shoot. I just took a huge chunk out of it with my finger. Oops. It's kind of like a coppery kind of gold. We're going to put that all over the lid. I don't know. See, that's not that, like, and I'm picking it up just with my finger, which I find is always the best way to get pigmentation. And it's just disappearing. Like, it's barely, I'm just annoyed. I think both of these palettes are going to end up gone, if I'm completely honest. I'm just not impressed with them. Do they have some redeeming qualities? Sure. There is maybe 1 or 2 shades from each that are actually pigmented, that are nice to work with, but they're not the best for blendability. They're not pigmented enough at all. The colors are not that amazing unless you're specifically looking for these exact colors. I just don't think that, you know, and they're not for sale anymore, so I can't sit here and be like, they're not worth the money, don't buy them if you already bought them. And maybe you have better luck with them. Any opinion that I say in here is just my opinion. There's always redeeming qualities about pretty much every makeup item. Sorry, I'm just going in with this. See, this is what I mean about the NYX one. Like, it's just nothing special. I don't know. I'm pretty sure that's going to end up gone too. But yeah, anything I say here is just my opinion. If you love these products, if they are like your staples, don't take any offense to the fact that I don't like them, because maybe I have a different skin type. Maybe I do makeup differently. Maybe I have less patience than you, which is probably true of most things. I'm not the most patient person in the world. It could be so many things. So please, if I say I don't like something and they're a product that you love, don't take offense to it. I mean absolutely none. Next, we're going to be doing, I'd like to do an eyeliner. Where'd I put them? Okay, so I've got a couple of the felt liners that I really just kind of want to get to see if I even like them. So I have the Ciate one, which is really, really, really thick. I think it might be too thick, but we're going to try it. And I also have this NYX one, which is really, really tiny, but the nub is so small that I can remember not really liking this. So I'm going to do a little bit of this I might do one eye with each and kind of just see if I like either of them, to be completely honest. I'm sitting on my knees right now and it's making me really high on the chair and I should not do that, but whatever. Okay, so I'm going to do the NYX. Okay, so that's the NYX eye done. I like this. It's very black, as you can see. It's tiny, but having said that, like, I still screwed up, and that just might be my own ineptitudes of doing eyeliner, because I tend to screw them up. My one problem I do have with this is because the tip's so tiny, it's not flexible at all. And I do like a little flexible tip because I like to put it on a bit of an angle and drag it. And I find that it just kind of comes across more naturally and a little bit easier. Again, there's nothing wrong with that. It is very black. It is, you know, it obviously worked, but just for my personal preference. Now I have this Fierce Flicks by Ciate, and this thing is really big, so I honestly don't know that I can make this work. Does anyone else do makeup with their mouth wide open? I'm kind of like, I think I've said this before on my channel, that since filming myself doing my makeup, I just notice all of these like weird quirks that I have about when I film my makeup. And that's one of them. It's like a concentration thing. Okay. So first things first, you can see that the eyes look very, very different, which is fine. I don't really care. I'm not really going anywhere that I'm aware of today. Pretty much after I film for you guys, I plan on going down to the basement and wrapping some Christmas presents and making some Christmas cards until Tom comes home. So first things first, the eyes are very different. Obviously, this is a lot thicker. I did find it very difficult to work with. And for as thick of a tip as it is, again, there's no real like flexibility in it. Do you guys see I'm pushing it? It's not really moving. There's no flexibility. To get the thin lines, you have to use the tip and just like lightly go at it. Both these products Again, if you're a person who likes a thicker black line and you like to do a wing liner, maybe this is the product for you. It is a Fierce Flicks liner, so my assumption is that you're supposed to take it and flick it. But if you know me at all, I don't wing my liner. It kind of just doesn't look good. I don't have an ability to do it. So not a big fan of this. And this is cute. It works well, but again, just the way that it works, like the flexibility of the tip is not my favorite. And for that reason, I can't see either of those getting kept. Now, I'm looking at my face right before I put foundation on, and maybe it's because I took a bunch of it off, but that stuff has died down. But it's giving me like a weird feeling on my face. Like it does still feel very greasy, so I'm not a big fan of the balm. But the Marc Jacobs Moisturing Primer seems like it's working okay. So maybe of everything we've used so far, and you know, the eye primer seems fine, we've got a couple things that we do like. Next, I'm going to get into foundation. So the foundation I'm going to be using today is this Tarte Shape Tape Hydrating Foundation. I even tried to use this yesterday, and it just bothered me so much the way it looked. I found it just looked streaky. It looked cakey. I just wasn't a fan. I don't know if it's because the color's not right for me. That's quite possible. I got it in light neutral. I don't know. I also know that I normally like to put makeup on, like foundation on with a foundation brush. I like it to sit in a pan and dip it in. And with this, maybe it's because the applicator's like this that I don't like it. But I could easily put it straight on a brush. So I'm going to try and do one side with a brush. Like we'll do half the face with a brush to see if I like it. And the other half I'm going to put it on my face and try and blend it out with a beauty blender. And just sort of see if I can make either work, because I've tried this product a few times and every time I've tried it, I've not liked it. So here it is on the brush. And a lot of it also is that I'm not into really full coverage foundations. I prefer a lightweight foundation or a water weight foundation. So I'm trying to only make sure I go halfway on my face. And this is a little heavier coverage. That's not a bad thing. Sometimes I need a little heavier coverage. Like right now I've got a lot of breakout happening. But you know, like, I don't know. It's just not my, it also smells really, really weird. And I know it's not because it's gone off, because it's not that old. Like I haven't had it for that long. Okay. So that's one side. So it looks fine from far away, but I find that when I look at it like up and close, I can see that it's streaky. I can see, you know, that it's not sitting properly. And maybe it'll get better as I put on like concealer and as I put on setting powder and all of that stuff. But for right now, I'm just still annoyed with it. So let's try this side with a beauty blender. See, I don't know how to do it this way because I don't do my makeup with a beauty blender. I don't do foundation with a beauty blender. And I find that beauty blenders tend to suck up your product a lot more, which is fine, like whatever, but maybe I should have watched somebody using this product and seen how it worked out. Because I do like the Shape Tape concealer. I've had a couple now, and I do really like it. I don't know. Foundation is also one of the newer bits to my makeup routine. Like I've been wearing it for a couple of years now, but I remember when I first started my channel, I didn't wear foundation unless I was really, I'm just going to touch up over here just because I can. Unless I was really breaking out or really had a problem I needed to cover. I never wore foundation. I didn't bother with it. I never liked it. Okay, so looking at it now, I can see that the side with the beauty blender looks a little bit more natural, a little bit more how I like to like it. This side looks a little bit more full coverage. So I'm gonna just take this down a little bit with a beauty blender just to kind of even them out. So did it work? Yeah. Do I love it? Not really still. Again, I think it's just because of my foundation preferences. I don't like full coverage concealers and this foundations, and this is one. I think the reason I was intrigued by this is because I have really dry skin, and it says it's a hydrating foundation, so I thought that that would mean that I would really like it, and I just don't know how I feel about it still. Maybe I'll give it another shot or two, but to be completely honest, I would much prefer to use, say, MAC Water Weight Foundation or my NARS Sheer Glow Foundation, I think is what it's called, Sheer Luminous Glow. I can't remember. Let me look at it. Sheer Glow Foundation, or MAC Face and Body, MAC Next to Nothing, some of these. And I do have a couple full coverage foundations that I do really, really like. I just don't think that this is one of them. So for concealer, we're going to be trying this concealer out. Now, I know it's in too light of a shade for me, when I got this stuff, I kind of got it as Tarte's like, pay this much for 7 full-size items. So I ended up getting the Tarte, this foundation. And I wanted this, what did I want? The Amazonian Clay concealer, I think. And this was the only one they had left. And I had to get it fair. So I know it's too light for me, but I would rather have a concealer too light than too dark. So this is the Rainforest of the Sea concealer. I do like, I'm just gonna, I use MAC Water Weight concealer, and I find that it works really well. So I don't know if the problem that I have with this concealer is that it is too light for me. Like, I don't know if that's my problem or if it's not full coverage enough, because as much as I like a not so full coverage foundation, I do want my imperfections to be concealed. Like, even when I wasn't wearing foundation, I would just use concealer and then like set it. So I do want it to cover. So we'll kind of see. Now for eyebrows, I'm just using a tried and true because I don't have any eyebrow products that I don't like. So this is my Fling Brow Sculpt Pencil. I'm honestly just using it because I have a bunch of new products and I'm trying to use this one up. So I'll just draw those in really, really quickly. And you'll notice too that I'm doing this while I'm letting the concealer sit for a little bit. And the reason that I like to do that is because I like it to kind of like, especially for concealer like this, where it is a more fluid consistency, I like to let it tack down a little bit just so that it sticks better to my face when I actually go to work it in. Okay. Eyebrows done. So my eyebrows are actually only really like a problem in the center where they get a little bit sparse, but like out on the edges, they're normally okay. I'm hit or miss for how much. Some days I go out and forget to do my brows, if I'm completely honest. So I'm going to take that same beauty blender and just work it in. So like I said, like it obviously is too light, but it kind of gives me a like highlighted under eye effect, like a brightened effect, which is actually not too bad. So it's actually covering not bad. I was a little worried about that spot that I have right there because obviously I literally just picked at that zit like right before I filmed, and it was like bleeding up until I was filming. I'm pretty sure even probably part of when I was filming. So looking at that now, that's actually not bad. It's not my favorite concealer. It certainly isn't the worst concealer I ever have. Honestly, I think I'm going to keep giving this a chance. I don't mind it at all. I'll decide for sure when December hits and I'm looking at all my concealers and I'm like, okay, how many concealers does a single person need? Probably not that many. Maybe it'll go because it isn't my favorite, but at the same time, you know, it did cover this for the most part. It covered a lot of the imperfections along my chin. It definitely covered the dark circles under my eyes. It gave it kind of a brightening effect. I'm not mad about it. For a setting powder today, I'm just going to pause this and restart because my camera likes to crap out on me at about 33 minutes. So give me 2 seconds. And we're back. So for a setting powder today, I'm going to be using this MAC setting powder. This is in medium. I normally use a translucent setting powder because I find that these do make you look super cakey. But again, I spent a fair amount of money on this, so I kind of want to see if I can make it work at all or if this is just a completely lost cause. And it might be just so, and that's okay. So see how dark it is? Like normally I like a translucent one. I think I bought this with the thought that like it would do more covering. So evening out. And because this is actually darker than both those foundation shades, it'll kind of act like a pre-bronzer, if you know what I mean. And I'm sure if I bought a darker shade, I could use it as that. Like if I had gone up to a medium plus, it's always worrying to put something so dark underneath your eyes, but that's okay. If I had maybe gone up to a medium plus color, I could almost use it as like a setting powder / bronzing powder. But obviously I didn't. I got medium because that is my shade. And whatever. I'm just using this to kind of set wherever we had like any kind of liquid, either foundation or concealer, you know. So looking at it, it's kind of everywhere now. It's kind of all worked in. I'm just trying to look at it close in the camera, close in my mirror. Okay. So it kind of is caking up a little bit in some areas. Particularly where I've tried to conceal things, I do find it looks a little powdery. It made my complexion very consistent. It definitely, you know, has its redeeming qualities. But overall, I think I would just rather use translucent powders when I'm setting my makeup and then go in with a bronzer later. I think that'll be one of those things that I just get rid of because, you know, it's fine. Again, it works. And if I was using it for a different purpose, like to actually use as a foundation or something like that, it would make a lot more sense. But because I'm trying to use it as a setting powder, I just think that it's missing its mark. So for a bronzer today, and this is not a bronzer that I have a problem with, let me preface by saying that. This is a good bronzer. It's just one that I never reach for because I worry the shade's too light for me. This is my Wet n Wild Color Icon bronzer. This is in the shade 739 Ticket to Brazil. It is a beautiful, beautiful bronzer, but it might be a little too fair for me, especially because I have been tanning again. Like, but look at how much product you're picking up. Like, I barely touched it. I just worry that, like, this is the same color as that medium setting powder, if you know what I mean. And I personally like to look a little bit more bronzed, and I know it's winter here and I shouldn't want to look like that, but I don't know. I have this thing where, and I also, like I said, I tan, and I know I shouldn't tan, and I do, and you know, I need my face to match the rest of my body. So it is a really, really nice bronzing color if you are looking for a light all over the face bronzer. Like, me personally, I would think my friend Megan, who is fairer than I am, if you can believe it. You guys have seen her. She was in one of my videos on my channel one time. She would get a lot more use out of this product than I do because I use a darker bronzer 90% of the time. Again, it looks great. It definitely gives you a subtle glow, but I'm probably looking for a bit deeper of a glow. So nothing against this product whatsoever. It's just a personal preference for how I like my makeup to look. Now we're going to go in with a blush. For a blush color, I have this MAC For Your Amusement cream color base. I used to really, really like this. I found it gave you a super, super natural glow, but I haven't used it in forever, and I kind of just want to see if I even still like it because it's kind of a pain in the butt to work with. So I'm using like a stippling brush to kind of pick some of that color up, and then I'm going to kind of just, do you see how crazy it looks at first? And then you kind of just gotta blend it. And that's what I don't like about this, is that I find that, like, if you're not, I'm just doing it with this because it's not working. So you can definitely see that there's some pink there. Put a little bit more on my cheek. It's just a pain in the butt to work with. I'm not a big fan of any cream blush products. I think the reason I love this so much is because I loved the color. Because I am more fair. I like to have like these like light pinks. I just think that they're really beautiful. I just don't know if I really like working with it. And honestly, if I'm completely honest, see, there's no thing on the back that says like 24 months or 12 months, but I've had that for quite some time and I don't know that it's still good anymore. For highlighters, we're going to go in with some of these highlighters. These are the Tarte Pro Glow highlighters. I did rant a little bit about them during my highlighter collection video. If you want to see it, I will link it here, about how I'm not a big fan of the consistency of the formula, how I have a hard time blending them out. So we're going to see how that goes today. Let's use this color Sparkler because I feel like this is the one I used the least when I did do it. It is kind of the darkest color. So it is like a cream product, but it's so thick that I just have a really difficult time working it in. And like, I find it's okay for right there, for down the bridge of your nose, because you do want that to be a fairly subtle and straight line. There we go there. It's more up the cheeks that I have a harder time with it because I find that it doesn't like to, oh crap, blend out the nicest, and then it just looks like you've got a stark line there. I don't love the way that it melds into my skin, into the rest of my makeup. I find it looks very, very different in contrast, if you know what I mean. Like, if it blended really nicely into the makeup that I already had going and it kind of just looked like a subtle sheen, I would really like it. And it is highlighting. I will say that. Like, of course it is. These are beautiful, beautiful highlighters if you can figure out how to work with the products, and I maybe just can't. Maybe these aren't my kind of products. I like stick highlighters. I like powder highlighters. These just aren't my favorite. So I do like the glow it gives, but this is what I mean. Like, I feel like it's very, very obviously a straight line. Like, I couldn't meld it into the rest of my skin and have it very obvious. And that's okay sometimes, but I just kind of wanted to see what I could do with it. I think I did a little better of a job over here. Again, I like the way it looks down my nose. In my Cupid's bow, it looks really good. These are products that I have to do a little bit more thinking on because, again, they were expensive products. Not crazy expensive, but like I put some money into them. It's very hard for me to just look at them and be like, yeah, whatever, I don't want them. Okay, really quickly for mascara. This is not one that I want to get rid of. This is one I'm kind of testing out. Still from last month. It came in a BoxyCharm. This is my Superhero It Cosmetics mascara. I do really like it from what I've used of it so far. I've been using it a lot lately. it kind of gives your eyes like a just better than natural kind of look. Like it's not super volumizing like a Better Than Sex mascara. It also does a lot to lift, separate, and this is kind of like your jack of all trades mascara, I think, personally. There we go. It kind of does a little bit of everything, and I really like that. Like I find that I have to use a couple combinations of mascara to get a bigger version of what this one does on its own. So I do really like that. What else do we have to do? Pretty much just lips and then setting spray, and we're good to go. So for lipstick today, I'm going to be playing with one of these. And these are my NYX matte lipsticks. I got these all in the advent calendar from last year. I used to have a couple and I just don't like them. I find them very drying, very difficult to work with. But I just watched like an old Shan XO declutter of lipstick and she kept hers. And I'm kind of like, okay, if somebody who is that amazing with makeup, who knows makeup that well, is keeping them, what am I missing from them? So I've got 4 colors that we can maybe play with today. I'm just trying to figure out. No, that one's not likely. I'm probably not likely to keep that one anyway. That's in the color Up the Base because that's so like deep and purple and cool toned. And I find that those shades don't really work for me. Got this like orangey shade. This is in Indie Flick. So I think we're going to use one of these two. Let's go with the fun pink. I haven't worn pink lipstick in a while. I do. Well, that is a really pretty like pinky kind of red. That's in Eden. Let's play with this color. This is the pink. It's in Shocking Pink. So let's do that and just see how it goes. See, I can't remember now why I didn't like these. Maybe I had like an off formula in the big sizes because I never really tried these ones. I really like the color. You guys saw me put it on. It seemed very like fluid to go on, very creamy to go on. We'll see what happens when it tacks down and dries down because right now it is not completely matte. I can still feel that it's not completely matte, but that's okay. And I really like this color, like a lot. So maybe I do need to give these a second chance and actually try them out and see how I like them. The last thing we're going to be doing is using this Urban Decay setting spray. So this is the Chill setting spray. And I think I thought I was getting the all-nighter setting spray, which I've heard crazy amazing things about. I've never really heard anything about this. And this does work. It's totally fine. But it's got this like cooling effect. It's a cooling and hydrating effect. So it's supposed to do like an instant cooling sensation and it kind of freaks me out and it smells and tastes really bad. So I'm just giving this kind of like a last shot to see if I can handle it, if it's actually going to hold my makeup, or if I should just give it to somebody else because it is really bothering me. So I'm just going to spray super quick. Yeah, the smell really bothers me. And I don't know how much of a cooling effect I would say it has. It's cold on my face, but that's also because it's wet and I just sprayed it on my face. Yeah, so I am actually going to go about with the rest of my day. Like, I'll say goodbye to you guys now, and then I'm going to go about with the rest of my day and just sort of see how this holds up, see how that eyeshadow primer holds up, see how the setting spray holds up, see how this lipstick feels in like an hour after it's tacked down and stuff like that. And then I'm going to come back and kind of give you guys my final thoughts. But for the most part, you kind of heard how I feel about this stuff as I've gone on. So I will call that it for this video today. So thank you so much for those of you who voted to see this video. I hope it was exactly what you wanted to see. I plan on doing a few more of these before my decluttering series if I can, because there's tons of other makeup that I want to see how much I really like it or if I don't like it. And I'm going to be doing a bunch more filming today, so you'll see this look a couple times. So maybe you'll kind of see how it wears as I go on in the next hour or two. So yeah, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel. I would really appreciate it, and I will catch you guys next time. Bye. Okay, so it's the end of the day. I've had this makeup on all day long. So we'll talk about like kind of what's still good and what's not good. So eyes are pretty much the same. Some of the glitter has looked like it's gone other places, but for the most part, they look the same. So obviously, that primer is really holding on to everything. It's working really well. The lipstick. So my lips are super dry up and around the edges, but to be completely honest, they kind of were before I put it on, so I don't think that's the fault of the lipstick at all. It was very comfortable all day. To be completely honest, what you see on my lips now is the remnants of that one application. I never put it on again. I never reapplied it, and that's through so like all day, and I just went out to dinner. So from eating and drinking and Kissing Tom. It hasn't gone anywhere, so maybe, I don't know, maybe I was too quick to judge that lipstick from before. I do really, really like it. It's very comfortable, and I loved the color. The foundation, so it's starting to kind of break. I don't know if you guys can see right here. It's kind of gotten a little like flaky. It's flaking off. Now that could also be the concealer. And I mean, mind you, I did have, like I said, I literally like popped a zit under there right before I started filming for you guys. So it could be the fault of that as well. For the most part, it does look like it's holding up pretty well. So like that's on the part of the foundation, the concealer, the setting powder, the setting spray. Like overall, there's like little bits of wear and tear here, but no more so than like would happen with the makeup that I do love and do use all the time that I would never consider getting rid of. So, I mean, overall, did it change my mind on any of these products? Yeah, a couple. The lipstick I'm definitely going to be keeping. I think I'm going to be keeping the concealer. The one thing I will say about this blush is the blush, because it's cream, it just lasted so much longer. The highlight is virtually the exact same as well, but I have a harder time working with that. It's one of those things of, is it worth the effort? So the blush is super long wearing because it's cream, and it wasn't that hard to blend in, and it looks really, really pretty. So there's a big part of me that's like, give it another chance, start wearing it more often, see if you can get used to doing it again. Because there was a time when I used to do it all the time and it wasn't a problem. But yeah, so overall, of all of the things I used today, the lipsticks are going to probably be staying. The concealer, the setting powder, I think might, I don't know. Honestly, it's all going to come down to like when I actually pull all my collection out again and sit and sift through it all, what makes it and what doesn't. Because if I have two products that are both good, I'm going to pick the one I like more. And there is a chance that something I used in this tutorial is not the one I liked more. But for the most part, everything held out pretty well. So if nothing else, like anything I get rid of that I talked about here is because of a personal preference for myself. It's not bashing the products at all because they look like they all held out really, really well. So take with that what you will. Anyways, have a good night, guys.